Hello everybody, I'm on a day trip today. I've gone to Conwy and I'm here as a tourist. Last time I was here was in November 2017 and it was my 100th race for a charity that I've been supporting. So it was quite a celebration day and lots of friends actually turned up and we had a great time. So the charity, if you're interested, it's called Mummy Star and you'll find the charity on Facebook. You can Google it and you'll easily find it. I had a wonderful day. Lots and lots of runners supported me, and one in particular, my friend Peter, that's spelled P-I-T-A. She's a great runner and she said she'd accompany all the way, and she did. So I wasn't a very fast runner or anything like that, so she had lots of patience, encouraged me and got me through the race. But all the runs that I was doing, I used to just turn up, do the run, have a bite to eat and then go home. So I've decided to go back to as many places as I can that I ran and have a bit of a tourist day out. So I'm here in Conwy today. Now I'm actually on a bridge that crosses the river, but it's one that people just rarely are ever seen. I don't think they're aware that there is a public access to it and they can have a walk along, because to walk along it you can just see the huge amount of engineering that was involved in making this bridge. So we're there, right in front of us, Conwy Castle. So the river here, it's crossed by 3 bridges. So there's this one that I'm walking on, then there's the road bridge, and that's the one that I went over twice for the Conwy half marathon. The start was in the harbour, go over the bridge, all the way to Llandudno, up round the Great Orme and back again. And as I say, great time. So there's the road bridge and there's this one that just doesn't seem to attract anybody. And on the other side there's another bridge, not as interesting as this one. It's actually the railway bridge and I'll show you that now. But as I finish crossing this one, right in front of us, Conwy Castle. So there's the bridge that I've just walked over, and beyond it is the road bridge. So the third bridge to make a hat trick is this one, which is certainly not as interesting. Just a funnel type bridge for the trains, but it does its job. The route for the half marathon, here's the road bridge. So it's about 200 metres after the start line. And you end up on the other side of the estuary. That little bit there is part of the Conwy Park Run, and you hug the estuary for the park run going all the way down there, as we did for the Conwy half marathon, but we were on the road. And somewhere up there in Llandudno, the road's cut through, so you're on the pier side, and that's where the climb up the Great Orme starts, and you go all the way around it and end up coming back the way we set off. So this is the river estuary, and as I pan round, just close to where those boats are was the start line, and I can tell you there's a few thousand people there. So I've done a lot of races, and I advise anybody, if you want to do something that's technical, difficult and all the rest of it, get yourself down to North Wales. Lots of runs. When I was a child, North Wales was quite a big thing, and my gran used to drag me off to Rhyl whenever she could, and she'd have my cousin there as well. So one of the things we used to do, me and my cousin, must have only been about 8 or 9, we used to collect these badges, cloth badges, and we put them on the sleeves of our jacket. So Conwy was one of the ones I had, Llandudno, Rhyl, Prestatyn, and I think I had 3 down each side of my arm. But in them days it was a big thing as a kid, and we had some great times. And Rhyl, just like a lot of coastal resorts, they just don't get the same business anymore, whether it's Rhyl, Prestatyn, Blackpool, Morecambe. They're all over the country, dotted all around the coastline. But there's places like this that they have kept the original charm. Today it seems to be a lot of older people that have visited here. Maybe it's to bring back memories, I don't know. But just look at this, it's absolutely stunning. So if you're looking for any runs to do, definitely get yourself on the Conwy half, because it starts off a superb start line, goes all the way around to Llandudno on the other side, and then you come back after going around the Great Orme after getting to the top of it. Anybody who's lived in Manchester, you will have heard of the Bellevue. And Bellevue in my day, so we're talking late 50s and 60s, was full of everything. It did start off originally just as gardens, where people could go for a nice walk in the gardens and finish off with a restaurant meal. But going back 100, 150 years ago, it started expanding. So the guy who set up the venture bought more land, and they decided to bring in animals. Now, for what it's worth, and we're all wiser decades down the line, the animals in those days were kept in very different conditions. It wasn't, say, like Chester Zoo, where the animals are in open space. In those days you'd have the lion house, and basically it was 4 cages where you'd have 1 leopard, 1 lion, 1 tiger and 1 cheetah in these separate compartments. And to be honest, it was cruel. They always looked lifeless, or they were just pacing up and down. If you really wanted to see any action going on, you'd wait till Friday, because the day before the lions had not been fed, and you can imagine how they felt when the food came out. So for me, I used to walk it there. It'd take about 25 minutes to walk there, but for all the local kids, that's where they'd aim for, because the site itself, whilst it had a lake inside Bellevue, had one outside as well, where we used to go with fishing nets and things like that and get little tiddlers and what have you. But one of the joys of it having different entrances, you could never sneak into Bellevue through the main entrance on Hyde Road, which is the main road between Manchester and Sheffield. You used to go to a road called Redgate Lane, which is on the other side, and what was happening there, you could walk through, and you'd walk about 800 metres before you had to pay to get in. So you'd go 400 metres or so, halfway, and you'd climb a fence which was about 7 foot tall, and nobody was going to catch you. So once you were in there, it was like going to Disneyland, but it was in Manchester. But the sort of numbers that you used to get, it was that huge in its day that the local railway station, they had to have the platform extended, and at the time it was the longest platform in Europe. So that was Longsight Station. So loads of people would visit in by train, and then they had 2 huge car parks. And even though they were huge in them days, bear in mind not everybody had a car. So the zoo itself, you'd have a great day in there, because lake inside, all sorts of animals to see. You had the rockery for climbing and things like that. As a kid, we'd spend all day in there in the summer holidays when we'd sneaked in. It was fantastic. So as I got older, it was things like, I There was speedway, stock car racing. There was a circus. There was King's Hall. King's Hall at one point, it was even home to the Manchester Halley Orchestra. But you'd have big concerts going on there. So the last one I went to in the 70s, remember it because it was late on stage, it was Joe Cocker. And I remember the roadie just tried to entertain us with a guitar. But then it started to turn a bit hostile and eventually he turned up. I think he was drunk, but still a great concert, he enjoyed it. So yeah, later on in life, the Bellevue Stadium, home to Bellevue Aces, I actually played a cup final there in what was called the Manchester United Memorial Cup, and that was in honour of the Manchester United players that had lost their lives in the Munich air crash. So the winners of the Greater Manchester competition, so you're basically the champions from Greater Manchester, they had the same sort of competition going on in Liverpool, and the winners from Liverpool had played the winners from Manchester. And I'll be honest with you, the Liverpool always won it, but they used to put the ringers in. We knew that when we played them, there was a semi-professional team and they had 5 of their players playing against us. But for me, it was just the enjoyment of playing football at Bellevue Stadium. So looking back, they tried regenerating things like that, so they had bowling alleys, cinemas and God knows what. And the thing is, nothing exists there anymore. There might be some historical names to remind people, but that's about it. So on the site you've got a small housing estate, there's a school there, and that particular site has been rebuilt on at least 3 times to my knowledge. I think there's snooker hall, the speedway track doesn't exist, everything was flattened, but that's life. The age of plane travel came in, and not only did it kill the coastal towns and what have you, as people became more affluent in the late 60s and 70s, they had other things to do. And the big pull is you get in the weather, whereas in this country you can go to a beautiful place and the weather can be horrendous, and that's any time of the year. So yeah, Bellevue Zoo, if you get time to Google it, give it a go, because you're going back, it must have been 140 years ago when it was all started, and it just became so huge. There's a story somewhere, I think it's on Wikipedia, that one weekend this place, in 4 days, a bank holiday weekend, it actually had 450,000 visitors. Can you imagine that? Visiting Manchester 4 days, 450,000 people. Well, that's the pull that the place had. But the demise started late 60s, early 70s, and that's just how life goes. Lifestyles change, travel changes, people are more adventurous. I'm the same, I'm no different. Anyway, I'm walking down here, I'm hoping to come to a marina soon, again, which a lot of people don't bother walking to, but let's see what it's like. I'm on my way there now. Well, I found it eventually. It is about a 25-minute walk from Conwy Centre. I'm here now, I'll have a walk round and nosy.